Man. Finally. I haven't seen you for an awfully long time. Girl. Haven't you? Now that I think of it, it has been some time. Man. How long has it been, I wonder? Girl. I haven't the least idea. 10 days or 2 weeks, I guess. Man, hastily. Oh, no, it's been much longer than that. Let's see, it's... Makes great effort with memory. Why, it's 5 weeks. 5 weeks and 3 days, don't you remember? Girl. I hadn't thought of it. It doesn't seem that long. How time does fly, doesn't it? Long silence. Man. I've been awfully busy. I wanted to come over, but I just couldn't. Girl. I've been very busy, too. Voluminous detail of her affairs follows, entirely pleasant in character. Man, tenderly. Were you so busy you didn't miss me? Girl. Why, I can't say I missed you exactly, but I always thought of you pleasantly. Man. Did you think of me often? Girl, laughing. I didn't keep any record of it. Do you want me to cut a notch in the handle of my parasol every time I think of you? If all my friends were so exacting, I'd have time for nothing else. I'd need a new one every week, and the house would be full of shavings. All my fingers would be cut, too. Man, unconsciously showing his hand. I thought you'd write me a note. Girl. You could have waited on your front steps till the garbage man took you away, and I wouldn't have written you any note. Man, with evident sincerity. That's no dream. I could do just that. Proposal follows in due course, man making full and complete confession. If he's foolish enough to complicate his game with another girl, he loses much more than he gains, for he lowers the whole affair to the level of a flirtation, and destroys any belief the girl may have had in him. He also forces her to do the same thing in self-defense. Flirtation is the only game in which it is advisable and popular to trump one's partner's ace. He who would win a woman must challenge her admiration, prove himself worthy of her regard, appeal to her sympathy, and then wound her. She is never wholly his until she realizes that he has the power to make her miserable as well as to make her happy, and that love is an infinite capacity for suffering. A man who does it consciously is apt to overdo it, out of sheer enthusiasm, and if a girl suspects that it is done intentionally, the hurt loses its sting and changes her love to bitterness. A succession of attempts is also useless, for a man never hurts a woman twice in exactly the same way. When he has run the range of possible stabs, she is out of his reach, unless she is his wife. The intentional absence scheme is too transparent to succeed, and temporary devotion to another girl is definite damage to his cause, for it indicates fickleness and instability. There is only one way by which a man may discover his true position without asking any questions, and that is a state secret. Now and then a man strikes it by accident, but nobody ever tells, even brothers or platonic friends. Some men select a wife as they would a horse, paying due attention to appearance, gait, disposition, age, teeth, and grooming. High spirits and a little wildness are rather desirable than otherwise, if both are young. Men who have had many horses or many wives and have grown old with both have a slight inclination towards sedate ways and domestic traits. Modern society makes it fully as easy to choose the one as the other. In communities where the chaperone idea is at its prosperous zenith, a man may see a girl under nearly all circumstances. The men who conduct the woman's column in many pleasing journals are still writing of the effect it has on a man to catch a girl in curl papers of a morning, though curl papers have been obsolete for many and many a moon. Cycling, golf, and kindred outdoor amusements have been the death of careless morning attire. Uncorseted woman is unhappy woman, and the girl of whom the versatile journalist writes died long ago. Perhaps it is because a newspaper man can write anything at 4 minutes' notice and do it well, that the press fairly reeks with advice to women. The question, propounded in a newspaper column, what kind of a girl does a man like best, will bring out a voluminous symposium which adds materially to the gaiety of the nation. It would be only fair to have this sort of thing temporarily reversed, to tell men how to make home happy for their wives, and how to keep a woman's love after it has once been given. Some clever newspaper woman might win everlasting laurels for herself if she would contribute to this much neglected branch of human knowledge. How is a man to know that a shirt front which looks like a railroad map diverts one's mind from his instructive remarks? How is he to know that a cane is a nuisance when he fares forth with a girl? It is true that sisters might possibly attempt this, but the modern sister is heavily overworked at present, and it is not kind to suggest an addition to her cares. There is no advice of any sort given to men except on the single subject of choosing a wife. This is to be found only in the books in the Sabbath school library, or in occasional columns of the limited number of saffron dailies which illuminate the age. Surely man has been neglected by his kind. The general masculine attitude indicates widespread belief in the promise, "Ask and ye shall receive." A man will tell his best friend that he doesn't know whether to marry a certain girl. If she hears of his indecision, there is trouble ahead if he finally decides in the affirmative, and it is quite possible that he may not marry her. After the door of a woman's heart has once swung on its silent hinges, a man thinks he can prop it open with a brick, and go away and leave it. A storm is apt to displace the brick, however, and there is a heavy spring on the door. Woe to the masculine finger that is in the way. A man often hesitates between two young women, and asks his friends which he shall marry. Custom has permitted the courtship of both, and neither has the right to feel aggrieved, because it is exceedingly bad form for a girl to love a man before he has asked her to. Now and then a third girl is a man's confidante at this trying period. Nothing so bores a person as to be a man's guide, philosopher, and friend in his perplexities with other girls. To one distinct class of women men tell their troubles, and the other class sees that they have plenty to tell. It is better to be in the second category than in the first. Sooner or later, the confidant explains the whole affair to the subjects of the confidence, and strange, new kinds of trouble immediately come to the rash man. It is a common failing to expect another person to keep a secret which we have just proved is beyond our own capability. When a man has once deeply wounded a woman's pride, he may just as well give up his hope of winning her. At that barrier the little blind god may plead in vain. Love's face may be sad, his big sightless eyes soft with tears, and his helpless hands outstretched in pleading and prayer, but that stern sentinel will never yield. Wounded love is easily forgiven, wounded belief sometimes forgotten, but wounded pride, never. It is the adamantine fortress. There is only one path which leads to the house of forgiveness, that of understanding, and it is impassable if woman's pride has come between. A girl never knows whether a courtship is in progress or not, unless a man tells her. He may be interested and amused, but not in love. It is only in the comic papers that a stern parent waits upon the continuous caller and demands to know his intentions. So a girl must perforce be her own guide. A man may call upon a girl so constantly and so regularly that the neighbors daily expect wedding invitations, and the family inquire why he does not have his trunk sent to the house. Later, quite casually, he will announce his engagement to a girl who is somewhere else. This fiancée is always a peculiarly broad-minded girl who knows all about her lover's attentions to the other, and does not in the least object. She wants him to have a good time when he is away from her, and he is naturally anxious to please her. He wants the other girl to know his wife. He is sure they will be good friends. Lasting feminine friendships are not built upon foundations of that kind. It is very unfortunate, for the world would be gladdened by many more than now exist. According to geometry, things which are equal to the same thing are equal to each other, and it would seem from the standpoint of pure reason that people who are fond of the same people would naturally be congenial, and take pleasure in being together. But a sensitive spinster is often grieved when she discovers that her men friends do not readily assimilate. If she leaves two of them to entertain each other, the conversation does not flow with desirable spontaneity. There is no lack of courtesy between them, however, even of that finer sort which keeps them both there, lest one by leaving should seem to remind his companion that it was late. On the contrary, if a man is fond of two different girls, they are seldom to be seen apart. They exchange long visits regularly, and this thoughtfulness often saves him from making an extra call. A happy triumvirate is thus formed, and the claws of it do not show. Sometimes it is hard to decide between them, and he cuts the Gordian knot by marrying someone else, but the friendship is never the same afterward. The girls are no longer boon companions, and when the man crosses their paths, they manage to convey the impression of great distance. In the beginning, almost any number may join in the game, but the inevitable process of selection eventually narrows it down to two. Society has given men a little the best of it, but perhaps woman's finer sight compensates her for the apparent disadvantages, and even love, who deals the cards, is too blind to see the fatal consequences of his mistakes. End of chapter 4.